Okay, so okay. Almost 4,000 years ago, a father and a son were walking together on the banks of the great river, close to what was then possibly the biggest city in the world, Babylon. The banks are sloping ground on the side of the river. The father, whose name was Warren, said to his son Eden, "See, my son, the great Euphrates River. This river did not flow, or it didn't move continuously. So if this river did not flow, there would be no wonderful city of Babylon, no palaces, no gardens, not even any houses. So if the river wasn't there, would they be there? No. So is the river important or not important?
Not important.
It is very important. It is said, but I don't understand, Father. Did all these things appear out of the water? What do you think? Did they just appear out of the water? Did the water make them? No, let's read on. So here's our father and son right here.
I've seen them.
So now his father left. No one just floated the palaces down here or pulled them from the water. Let me explain it. They sat down on the bench overlooking the wide river, which rolled before them, reflecting the palaces and religious temples that rose high on both banks of the river. The first people who lived here along this river realized that the land surrounding the water had rich soil for planting crops, like wheat and barley for bread. These people settled or decided to live along the river because the land farther away from the river was desert. So the land close to the river was it desert? No, they could grow things. But as you got farther away, what did the land turn into? Desert. Which is that good for growing crops or bad? Bad. So do you think they wanted to live in the desert? No. Good. So these people built their homes along the river so that they could grow crops to feed themselves and their families. Now, let me ask you a question, Eden. Why do you think people built our city right here? Because of the water? Yes, the river water kept alive the plants that were grown for food. Now look around. And Ward waved his hand in a circle. Now we have our great and beautiful Babylon. Of course, the people that settled in Babylon weren't the only ones that had a good idea to settle along the river. Other people came and settled up and down the river, forming other towns and cities. Soon, the people realized that they could use the Euphrates. The Euphrates, again, is the name of that river. The Euphrates for more than just growing food. What else do you think they discovered that they could use the river for? Ward asked his son, "What do you think? What do you think you could use the river for?" We're going to take 2 guesses. Grace? Drinking water. They need water to live, don't they? And Sophia? For fun. They'd probably take go swimming. Good. Hands down. I said I was going to take 2. Eden thought for a moment, then asked, "To carry things from one city to another like we do today?" "Correct," his father bellowed. They traveled on boats up and down the river to trade with people from other cities. Remember that trade means to exchange goods. The city soon traded crops, eyes up here. Soon traded crops, material to make clothing and other items that they needed. So some fit things they made, someone would make some cloth for clothing, and they could trade it. And they could trade it for something like food. Yes, Mason.
How can you trade water in the desert?
Well, remember, this water isn't in the desert. So the water is in the land, and then as you get farther away from the water, it was desert. So, the Euphrates River is not the only river that is used this way. People also use the Tigris River to grow crops and trade with other cities.
Tigris River.
Tigris River is another name of the river. It's hard to think of a time when people did not use a river for growing crops and for traveling like we do today. It is said. Yes, Mason. Go ahead. Warren replied, that it is. I have more to explain to you. You see, after a while, many people had made their homes along the Euphrates, and some had land farther back from the river. Soon it was difficult for everyone to reach the water easily. So why was it harder? Why do you think it was harder? Go ahead, Caitlin. So let me read that sentence again. After a while, people had made their homes along the Euphrates River. So there was a bunch of homes. And soon it was difficult for anyone to reach the water easily. Why do you think it was harder? Grace?
Because if there was a storm or something, it could break their house down and they had to make it in a different spot.
Okay, that's a good point, but I'm asking how, if some people were, let's say it like this. If more people were coming in that wanted to build there, but there's lots of houses in, why would it be hard for them to reach the river? Mason?
Because there's a bunch of houses in the way.
Yeah, because more and more people were around the river, so they probably had to start building their houses a little bit back, so that it was a longer walk to go reach it. Caitlin, only use if needed, otherwise I need your attention on me. Okay. So, people started wondering if there was a way to get the water from the river to other parts of the city. Hands down. Soon they discovered that there was a way. What was a word we just talked about that could be a good way to get the river to other parts of the city? Does anyone remember?
I think he talks in the water.
And this was before cars and trucks.
And ducks.
Ducks are not a good use to bring things. Cora.
You can hop on a duck.
Boat. Boat. What would the boats have to flow on? Water. Does anyone remember what word we talked about?
Flow.
What about the canals? Does anyone remember what the canals do? So the people would dig out those canals, and then the water would be able to move more along, outside of the river as well, right? So say this is your river. I don't have my whiteboard. Okay. Say this is your river. We're going to use this in any place. You have a river, right? And there's homes already here. Can't build anymore. We could build a canal to go in between so that now you have water going outside. Does that make more sense? So that more people now can reach it. Thumbs up if that makes a little bit more sense.
Well, they put the houses right in the water.
You can't put your houses in the water now. Okay. Okay. Back to me. So, through the canals. Yes, his father continued. They dug ditches cut into the earth, which we call canals. So, look at this picture. We have our river, and we have our canal. So, oh, listen. It does. Okay. The water flowed out of the river and through the canals to the areas of the city farther from the river. Then farmers could grow their crops even where the river didn't flow. So now these people on the outside of the river can also grow crops because they have access to water. They can get to the water, right? Roger, if you got, yeah, okay. Back with me. Ready? Our great king, Hammurabi, y'all, gotta bear with me. Did the same. Yep, you're right. He did the same thing. He had canals done to move water all over our country from the two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. So what are the two rivers' names?
Tiger and
Tigris. So it's Tigris. Tigris and the Euphrates. Good. And King Mason, say it again for me. King Hammurabi. Hammurabi. Guys, I'm gonna need some help. You guys got this. Sometimes the teacher needs help too. Okay, ready? King Hammurabi and his helpers used an ancient way to collect water. Oh, back to me. When the winter rains come, the water doesn't just wash away downstream. They made water run into a reservoir so that after the rain stops, nope, not a good time. After the rain stops, there would be water for drinking or for watering crops. So, remember, a reservoir is similar to a lake. It's a place where people store water. Once this is done, people can stay in one place near the river and make that place better and better until finally we had Babylon. So, let's pause for a second. Let's think about this. Remember, we're in ancient times, so long time ago. Let's think of the things they didn't have that we have now. They did not have running water.
Cars.
Right? They didn't have cars. But let's think about this. Nope, I didn't ask. Let's think about it. We can go up to the sinks and get our water, right?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking until I have everyone answer. Can we do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we can do that. They did not have what we have today called indoor plumbing. They didn't even have any type of plumbing. They had to go to the river to get everything. And that's why they have to save it in a reservoir in order for them to save up water. Because they didn't just have continuous water coming out of a sink. Okay, does that make sense?
My nickname is Bear.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
So, I would like, if you can hear my voice, everyone get up and do me 5 jumping jacks and sit back down. Go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jumping jacks are so easy for me.
Oh, butt back. Okay. So Babylon. Who remembers what Babylon is? It is the what? Biggest.
River.
Not river.
Country.
Not country.
Town.
Town or the city back then. Now is it going to be? Do you think it's as big as New York City?
No.
No, it's smaller, but it was big for way back when.
Branson. That's huge.
Sit down. Okay. I don't know if we're going to have enough time for our voting activity. Hadley. Nash, turn around. Is that necessary? Absolutely not. Okay. Whew. So Babylon, exclaimed Idun, our king Hammurabi must be the best king of all, father. Ward agreed. He is indeed a great king. And now I think it is time for us to head home, my son. So, okay. On what continent